This is Brett Clay, again at Windows Azure Platform University in Reading, England, and I am here with...
Stuart Mair from Cognite.
So Stuart, what do you do at Cognite?
I'm the projects director, so I'm responsible for our software delivery to our clients and working with our clients on active projects. And we're an application development company around the .NET development tools, focusing on SharePoint and Dynamics CRM.
Okay, great. So when we talk today about Windows Azure Platform being a development platform for doing applications, that sounds like that's a great fit with your existing practice.
Yes, I mean, we are quite consultancy orientated as well. So we like to work with the business users and the client to understand what their pains are and how technology can help them. And Azure really is a real opportunity for us to have another tool or another thing that we can promote to them alongside existing applications and development, and that's going to be quite interesting in the changes that are coming up in the market for us.
So you talk about how today you talk to the business owners and your clients. How did that come about? Classically people talk to, in IT world, talk to IT people. How did you? Do you really? Is this for real? You talk to business?
Yeah,
What a great thing.
Yeah, it's more our background really. Myself and Paul, who founded the company, we're from a consultancy background,
okay,
and we're very much in the business analysis, business process side of consultancy in terms of working with customers to understand their pain points and then promote technology. And that's very much our approach. Doesn't always work that way. We always engage in IT at some point, whether it's immediately or alongside the customers or later down the line. We're most effective when we're working with the end users to really understand what they want and then work with IT to deliver the solution.
Excellent. What kind of recommendations would you have for other people maybe considering building the same kind of a practice and having those same relationships with business users?
I think it's taking time to build up a relationship with the customer, understand what they're trying to achieve before you introduce technology, and really understanding what their pain points are before you start talking techie with them. It's walking that line between gaining sufficient business understanding to then promote the appropriate technologies, but not blinding with technology speak or buzzwords or anything. It's actually finding the appropriate technologies for them.
And can you tell us one thing that you learned today when we talked about building a Windows Azure practice?
I think I was interested by the recent announcements. The VM role looks quite interesting. I think some of the structured approaches to actually building your cloud or Azure practices are quite good that you put forward today. And the selling side, the 5 selling model is quite a good way to identify opportunities. I think some of the tools that have been promoted today are quite a good kind of blueprint to get you started.
Yeah, blueprint or template.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what do you think are some of the obstacles that you'd need to overcome in finding customer opportunities to move applications into the cloud?
For us, because we're quite a small company, the first obstacle is time. Because there's only 10 of us, so it's actually making time to focus on these new things, and we have to create that capacity in order to stay up with the technologies. I think then it's really getting the information up on a website and starting to do some campaigns around it. So I think the key obstacle for us is really creating the time for it. And I think myself and my business partner have been here today, and we're the two founders of the organization. So we are committing time to it.
Right.
It's just finding space in a busy day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the hard bit.
Well, thank you so much for your participation today. I really appreciated meeting you and having you on the interview.
Great, thank you very much.
This is Brett Clay again here from Windows Azure Platform University in Reading, England, and I'm here with Lewis Isaacs.
That's right.
Lewis, what's the company you're with?
I work for Content and Code as a Microsoft Online Services business development manager, I guess.
Oh, excellent. So that means you're selling the offerings that Microsoft has in the software as a service world?
Yeah, that's correct. So I used to actually be with Microsoft in the incubation team in the UK selling BPOS, or I guess Office 365 as it's now becoming. But as a company, we're very committed to the cloud, so I'm kind of leading the cloud practice internally. And part of that obviously is Windows Azure.
Excellent. So what is your current impression of cloud computing market today?
It's fascinating actually in the sense that every organization we get involved with, every customer that we speak to, we're always engaging at a very senior level. So every individual right across the organization tends to be at that C level, the executive level upwards. Very fascinated by how it can revolutionize their business. And I think the big change is that in terms of my experience from working for Microsoft and in IT for about the past 7 years, IT's always talked about enabling and delivering change and delivering on business drivers, but often you actually find that it's really a technological upgrade or advancement, whereas this is the one thing that I actually see at a business level, it's going to fundamentally change how organizations do things. So it's pretty seismic.
Wow, that's really powerful. Yeah, it's tectonic, seismic, tectonic. So, or natural disaster, right? Let's call it a step function improvement in productivity. How about that?
Sounds much better. Yeah, I like that.
Not an earthquake.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Let's talk about a little bit about that. In what way is that a step improvement in productivity
for the organization?
For IT consumers and businesses out there today.
So I think the main thing is that you've actually got the shift, first of all, from IT is a service that you take and then install. You get a partner and then it's yours, and it's kind of you might take a support contract, but ultimately you're responsible for the management of it. So the major change is that it's a service, I think, fundamentally. So you're starting to see IT being delivered in a completely new way, and therefore consumers interfacing with organizations and partners in a completely new way. They're expecting levels and standards as a result of it being a service. The second thing is that they're now getting from a senior level in terms of the people who are interested in cloud services, but actually from the IT departments and the IT managers in terms of how they engage with IT, they're actually starting to think much wider and much more creatively, I suppose, about where it can have impact and knock-on benefits, in the sense that they're not being limited by what they think their internal constraints are, because they know that it will expand elastically if their consumer base does, and likewise it will contract if it doesn't work as well. So they're starting to not be caged in by what they think they're going to be able to do internally, more about where do they kind of want their business to go.
Wow, that's very powerful. Really enabling IT to achieve the business objectives of the business instead of just being a sunk cost and an ongoing business investment or burden, if you will, and then really getting creative about the ideas and ways to drive the business.
Yeah, definitely. They love the premise of it. I think the key thing when we speak to them is there's a concern around risk. The shift to this is risky, so I think we're, as a partner, we're always very aware to make sure that we have a conversation about how we take them on that journey from it being something they perceive as risky to ultimately something that can deliver on those objectives. That's really key because it's a big change. So what you're talking about around the assessment tool today is great. Particularly, we use that approach in BPOS because it just completely relaxes the customer and takes them on that journey. It's such a good approach, such a good sales approach, and it's been really effective so far for us.
So in other words, let's talk about those concerns. Let's talk about those risks, and let's get those taken care of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they, whenever we come in, I think they know that. I guess fundamentally, so from I look at Azure, and that's a server platform, and they know it and use it, and it's very similar for BPOS, which is Exchange Online and SharePoint Online and some of those other things. So they know the solution, but actually, kind of what they want is to feel that the service is going to deliver in the way that we as sales guys and partners talk about. And so you take them on a proof of concept for stuff they might already be using. And in some instances, it might be exactly the same version of the solution they're already using, but they need to feel that it's going to work and deliver on the things they say. So getting to that point where we're kind of growing the market at the moment and sort of bedding it in and taking them on that risk minimization approach to the point where they know it's going to work. You're almost seeding that customer, and that once they start to use it, and you talked around analyzing some applications, and you do one, and then you start to extend that out, actually that's going to make them feel very comfortable, that approach, until the point where they'll just bring you in to start converting on those without really having to do any in-depth assessment and selling it to their board. So that getting around the perceived element of risk is key. And other resources in terms of the assessment tool that Microsoft produces and some of the training sessions that you've done today make me feel a lot more confident that we can have that conversation with customers.
That's great. I was actually going to ask you, Lewis, you're so knowledgeable. What are you doing here today in Windows Azure training?
Well, I've just come to see some of my old buddies at Microsoft, but really just to make sure and check in that I'm talking about the right things with customers, with clients, because I think that's really important. Keeping up to date with the information, I think, is very important. I think fundamentally what I'm trying to see is where is the opportunity for us in terms of Windows Azure, or Azure. I have to keep getting that pronunciation right. But I'm starting to see it, actually, and I think you made a really important point that we had a core competency as a partner in SharePoint for many years, and we did that because we recognised the market opportunity. And I think, yes, there's going to be a shift for us internally, but it's actually recognising that we either go with the opportunity or we don't. And kind of now what I'm thinking is that let's go with it, because whilst there's going to be change, actually the opportunity for us is great. And in terms of my experience, certainly on the client side of things, customers are crying out for just knowledge around cloud. So even if we just have knowledge, we've got an opportunity there.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for your time interviewing.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.